Dan has told me that one of the chickens is repeatedly laying in the nest box, but she never has an egg underneath of her, and it's been about 3 days. He doesn't know if she's been moving around in the coop, if she's been eating or anything else, so I have to go in and investigate. Come and join me. Well, I see most of the birds there. Opal is over there, way over there on the left, and she has a very red bottom. I have to investigate and find out what vent gleat is. It sounds like it might be like a yeast infection that your chickens can get, and it can be passed by the rooster between the whole flock. We have two roosters, so we'll have to get our eyes on that one quick. This little red lady right here, her feathers looked a little funny. I don't know if she's molting or what exactly is going on with that right now. I'll have to get in and investigate more. And if you can see in behind there, there are a lot of white feathers on the ground. We could have somebody molting. But she's red. I don't see any red feathers. I will investigate her, but it's not her that's the issue. The issue is this one that's coming down the ramp right now with the blue band on her leg. That is our Loonie Bird. She has been behaving oddly for a few days. Let's just observe for a little bit. By just standing here and observing, the chickens will relax too. It is -5 outside today, but the thermometer we have inside the coop remotely reads into the house and it says it's only -2 in the coop. And there's no wind today, so that's a good start. Okay, there's our girl. She's not limping. I need to see if she's eating or being bullied. I would like to get some footage of my Canadian breast females next to my Sasso females. The ones with the white birds with the blue legs are the Bresse, B-R-E-S-S-E. The ones with the black around their collar and a few black tail feathers, those are Sasso. And my red ones are also Sasso, they're Sasso Scarlet. Right here we have my Bresse rooster, George, and Lala. Lala is our tiniest, so it's not fair to compare her. But here, look at the size of the difference in these girls. The red and the one with the black tail. And then the one on the right here, where is she? This one here is a Bresse. This one over on the other side, this one here is a scarlet, a Sasso Ivory. Look at the difference in the size of these girls. While I'm in here, I might as well rake out that coop again, and I'll go get the rake. I'll be right back. Oh, I'm going to go in the house and get some treats too. Who's the noisy one? Who's the noisy one? So I just brought out a bucket of fermented feed. They love this stuff. They can smell it. Okay, let's see what they do with this. Give it a good swirl. There's your mash, girls. Loud chicken. I'm going going to put some in that other bowl so they can all have good access to the snack. And here comes Miss Penny. Or Miss Loonie Bird. She's the one who's acting off. Miss Penelope looks like she might be her Petunia. Miss Petunia's feathers look kind of shaggy. Why do they molt in the winter? Hey Dan.
They're beautiful. I'm going to Daryl's.
You need some more help?
I'm going to try again.
Okay.
I'll probably be back pretty soon.
Okay, I'm stirring the coop.
Okay.
We have a neighbor who's helped us with so many things. Today's our day to help him out. He gave Dan a call and asked him to come help him start up a tractor that's got a new battery, a new ignition. He's been spraying ether into it. It's just not going to turn over. They're going to go try again. They tried this morning before 9 o'clock and then Dan had to work, so they're going to go out and try now. All right, time to go stir the second coop. Our nesting boxes are completely built in. They can be removed if we want them to, but they're completely inside of the coop. And it gives the birds an extra place to sit. If they're not on the roosting bar, they tend to go on top of the box. But it also keeps the poop out of the box. We still get dirty eggs, especially if it's muddy. I've been quite surprised that we don't get muddy eggs all the time, but it's primarily if it's muddy outside in the run. We made the ramps completely movable so that we can get a wheelbarrow up close to this door. I'm not emptying it today, I'm just stirring it. It's relatively important to train your birds to a roost rather than letting them sleep in the nesting box. They poop when they sleep, so if they're sleeping in the nesting boxes, that's going to leave poop where the eggs are going to be. We're doing everything we can to prevent that. Most of these girls are pretty good. It's the newer ones that we struggle with. The breasts didn't catch that memo as quickly as the Sasso did. It's obvious there's more birds in there this year than there was last year, but we still only have 10, and last year we had 6. People tell you all kinds of stories about roosters being overbreeding their hens, and you have to have 1 rooster for every 10 hens. We only have 8 hens, and we have 2 roosters. Because we had the run divided in half, and we had our older hens on one side, we brought in 1 rooster, and he was Randy. He was raring to go. These ladies taught him that, no, that is not going to happen. These ladies taught him some manners, and a few weeks later we swapped him back to the other pen and brought our second choice rooster in here to this half, and the ladies taught him too. So these roosters have been taught their manners from the senior ladies, and now they're awesome. They're great. We still can't catch them and touch them. None of the breasts will allow us to catch them, but the Sassos will. So when I get a breast in my hands, I am excited, and I can check out all kinds of features, and I can talk to them and get them to relax a little bit, and I hold them for half an hour if I can. One day at a time, it's all I can do. I gotta put that ramp back in. since I've come out here, I don't see any problems with that chicken. With that chicken in question. She's walking around, she's eating, she's socializing, she's not being bullied. And Dan's back from helping out our neighbor. I wish I could hold these roosters. They won't let me near them. I'm gonna go check for eggs and that'll be it for today. I don't see anything wrong with that hen. She's just being a little different. We'll keep an eye on her and see how things go. I do want to read up about vent gleat though. It may be as simple as putting apple cider vinegar in the water and treating the whole flock at once. I've also heard that you can get suppositories that women use for yeast infections, and you can treat your chickens that way, but I don't know. I'm not a vet and I've never dealt with this before, so I have to research. I've got some books to read and some websites to scour. And I never just take one source for my information. I gather about 8 sources and I make sure that they're not all mimicking word for word what the previous one said. I'll find some decent information before I do any treatment plans. And George is being quite noisy. Say goodnight, George. Nope, not a chance. Not on cue. Not if I wanted him to. Okay, that was a thorough egg check. There's nothing in there. We have 8 hens and we're getting 2 eggs a day. I'm gonna run and check the other box and I'll be right back. Oh, it's a lot colder out here. The wind is biting my skin and it's not even really windy. The slight breeze is biting my skin. Time to head in the house. It's only -5 out there today. That's 23 Fahrenheit. It's been a few days since I checked on the health of that chicken. She's still isolating in the coop. She still comes out and eats. So she's not displaying any other unusual behavior except staying in the coop. And when I did the original filming, I noticed that there were a lot of white feathers rolling around. The bird in question is red. Well, I went and I checked again today just to make sure that everybody's doing all right and see if her health was, you know, specifically that one hen, if her health was doing okay. And I took out some fermented feed for them. If it sits in the house too long, gets forgotten, it can be pretty stinky. So it's gone back out and I fed them. I've got a fresh batch started. But I noticed that there were 2 red hens hiding in the coop today. And I looked in on them and one of them had a little bare spot between her neck and her shoulder. Okay, what's that? It looked a little dark. I couldn't tell what it was. And then I went out and I just stood there and looked at the birds for a few minutes. Observing your birds is really important. You can see what behavior is normal. You can see if someone's being bullied or has an injury that you might not have noticed. You can see if someone's limping. You can watch them long enough to, you know, might take 20 or 30 minutes, but that's the joy of having chickens, is to stand out there and hang out with them. You get to see that they're all eating properly and moving around properly and all of that. So in my observations today, there was one hen who had little tiny stubs of feathers. It was a white one, and she had the tiniest little stubs on both her shoulders. She had these little tiny stubs of feathers. It almost looked like her feathers had all broken. Well, that's moulting. It's her that's been losing the feathers that were all underneath of the run and everything. So she's decided to molt. We're down to 2 eggs. Normally we would get, and we've got 8 hens, so normally we would have at least 4 hens through the, or normally we would have at least 4 eggs through the winter, but like last year they didn't stop at all. The 6 adults that we have now, they didn't stop laying at all. We had 5 or 6 eggs for an entire year. It wasn't until their molt in September that they started to cut back. Well, they're molting again. Because I noticed the one, I stood there long enough to observe all of them, and this one that had the patch on her neck that was black inside, it wasn't an injury. She's molting too. 3 of the ones that are molting are about 1.5 years old, 1 3/4 years. They're all coming up on 2 years old. And one of them was just the baby, who's not even 1 year old yet. She's what, 9, 10 months? She was born and hatched at the end of April. So for whatever reason, they've decided it's time to molt. Nature, as the instincts has, triggered them, and it might be because the weather has been so mild and there's been a cold snap coming. So that's why they're hanging out in the coop. Now we know, right? When a chicken is molting, you give them extra protein. It helps the feathers to grow in faster and full and thick as they should be. So they're getting, I'm not giving them eggs back because we're not getting enough eggs, and I don't want to give them store-bought eggs. I'm going to make sure they get meat scraps and make sure they get, I'm going to boil up some quinoa, because quinoa can be eaten by chickens if it's cooked. It offers more protein if it's been cooked. So mealworms, quinoa, lots of feed ration. They can have all they want. By fermenting my feed that I've got across the room there, by fermenting my feed, that's going to allow more nutrients to be bioavailable, and they really need it. I don't know what other proteins to give them right now. I'll have to do some more research, but definitely quinoa, mealworms, meat scraps, and fermented feed. That's a start. And as I'm standing here talking, we have a winter storm blowing in. My husband didn't even know this storm was coming. While I was out with the chickens, Dan came out. I was spreading some sand. Our bucket of sand is actually frozen solid, so Dan came out and helped chop some of it loose for me. So he didn't know there was a storm coming today, and I've just mentioned we should get some more sand, and he's gone now. I'm just waiting for him to shovel up a few buckets of sand and come home. Did you know that most townships in Ontario, even little villages and cities, their works yard often has sand available? You can get a 5-gallon bucket of sand to spread around your property to help with the ice. We get maybe 3 or 4 buckets, 3 or 4 5-gallon buckets a year, and it gets us through the winter. So we're not putting salt down that's going to affect plant growth or affect the animals. It's not going to hurt the dogs to walk in sand. It's not going to hurt chickens to walk in sand. Although the chickens have a dirt run and lots of straw. They're fine. It's actually warm in the run. It's warmer in the run than it is outside for sure. They're protected. It might still go down to 0, but with that plastic wrap on it, it's like a greenhouse in there. It's warmer. The neighborhood stray cat came along as soon as he heard some activity, and I just spotted my husband just came past the front window. He's home now, and he's going to be bringing in some buckets of sand. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and learning a little more about my chickens and your works yard near you. See you next time.